In July 2025, a somber atmosphere hung over Porsche's headquarters. CEO Oliver Blume was forced to send out an internal memo that no one wanted to read. The cold words confirmed a harsh truth. The business model that had been their pride and served them well for decades was now in trouble. All of this was dealing a devastating blow to Porsche, more than any other automaker. Share prices plummeted, falling by more than half, profits nearly evaporated, and perhaps worst of all, the loyal fans who had helped build the Porsche legend were furious. How could one of the most beloved and coveted car brands on the planet have fallen into such a dire situation, almost destroying its own legacy? To find the answer, we must go back to 2019. It was a time when everything seemed perfect. Porsche is at the pinnacle of global success, enjoying resounding success. And it is in this euphoric atmosphere that they have announced their boldest, most historic move yet, the Taycan. This is not simply a new model, it is positioned as the future of Porsche, the first all-electric vehicle bearing the legendary brand's logo. The Taycan boasts undeniable technical specifications. It can accelerate from 0 to 96 km/h in just 2.8 seconds. Its super-fast charging technology takes only 22 minutes to charge from 5% to 80%. The real-world driving range may not be the most impressive, but Porsche emphasizes that this is not just any ordinary electric car. This is a true Porsche, only coincidentally, it runs on a battery. Reviews around the world share a common enthusiasm. Porsche confidently launched its prize creation, so electrified, believing they had found the perfect formula to bring its sporting heritage into a new era. But the ambitious Taycan was just the opening shot. Oliver Blume, the head of Porsche, had far bigger plans, a master plan to reshape the entire future of the company. Oliver Blume made no secret of his ambition. He outlined an extremely bold roadmap. Blume announced that by 2025, half of all new Porsches sold would be electric, and by 2030, that number would skyrocket to an astonishing 80%. The financial targets were also very high. Operating profit margins had to be maintained at 15 to 17%, and annual sales had to reach 400,000 vehicles by 2030. These were challenging figures, but seemingly achievable, especially considering Porsche had just sold 280,000 vehicles in 2019 and was on a rapid growth trajectory. Why would an iconic sports car brand, famous for the roar of its internal combustion engine, suddenly make such a drastic shift toward electric vehicles? To many longtime fans, this seems strange. But for Blume, the market is sending a signal that couldn't be clearer. Electric vehicles are the future. Look at Tesla in 2019. They finally became profitable. By 2022, Tesla's profits had reached $13 billion. The entire automotive world is following their example. GM plans to spend $35 billion on electric vehicles. Ford also launched a Mach-E electric SUV and an electric version of its F-150 pickup truck. But to understand the real reason behind Porsche's transformation, we don't need to look far beyond Volkswagen. Volkswagen is the parent company of Porsche, and the two are closely related. More importantly, Volkswagen has just emerged from the global Dieselgate emissions cheating scandal. Their reputation was severely tarnished. To clean up its image, in its 2017 annual report, Volkswagen announced an ambitious strategy called Roadmap E. They declared they would spend $50 billion and more on acquiring batteries in the coming years. Volkswagen was playing big, and that pressure was directly transmitted to Porsche. The pressure from parent company Volkswagen was immense. By the end of 2021, Volkswagen committed to spending up to $100 billion on electric vehicles over the next 5 years. But they needed money to finance this costly revolution, and they targeted their golden goose, Porsche. The story of Porsche's transition to electric vehicles immediately brings to mind Elon Musk, who has bet his entire career and a crazy vision, making electric vehicles a dream of the future. Volkswagen decided to take Porsche public through an initial public offering, IPO. This would be a pivotal gamble. It wasn't just about raising capital, but also a referendum to see what the market really thought about Blume's grand electrification strategy. On September 29, 2022, Porsche officially went public. The results exceeded all expectations. The IPO valued Porsche at a staggering $78 billion, becoming one of the largest initial public offerings ever. The hype was real, and the Taycan is the clearest evidence of that belief. The new electric car is selling like hotcakes. In 2020, the Taycan sold over 20,000 units. By 2023, that number had surpassed 40,000, double-digit growth. The Taycan is closely trailing Porsche's most iconic model, the legendary 911, which sold over 50,000 units that year. In a statement, Porsche proudly declared that even amidst global economic instability, their brand remains highly sought after and exclusive. Everything was going incredibly well. Oliver Blume was lauded as a brilliant leader, even being appointed CEO of the Volkswagen Group. Alongside his role at Porsche, he was at the height of his fame, but amidst the jubilation and accolades, dark clouds began to gather on the horizon. They had overlooked something crucial, a small detail that was at the heart of the matter. The goal was for 50% of Porsche's electric vehicle sales to be by 2025. The Taycan was indeed experiencing strong growth, but even at its peak of 40,000 units, it was only a small fraction of the 320,000 vehicles Porsche sells globally. The rest of Porsche's electric vehicle lineup was virtually negligible. This meant the Taycan was carrying an almost impossible burden. But then, just as the momentum began to take off, things suddenly went downhill. The early warning signs were subtle, yet clear. The main problem wasn't the specifications, the driving feel, or the speed. The problem was the sound, or more specifically, the soul. For many longtime Porsche fans, the Taycan didn't feel the same. Many loyal customers began to speak up. They shared that the only thing they disliked about their Taycan was the lack of the sound of the internal combustion engine. Every time they were near a 911 or a 718, they craved that exhilarating sound. The car had all the latest technology, but it also lacked something very important emotionally. The problem wasn't just emotional. What happened next truly stunned Porsche and plunged them into a real crisis, a crisis stemming from the very customers they had trusted. Taycan sales plummeted. From a peak of 40,000 units in 2023, they dropped sharply to just over 20,000. The company's profit margin also fell from 18% to 14% and then to 10 to 12%. The strangest and most ironic thing was that sales of internal combustion engine models like the 911 remained strong and even continued to grow. What on earth was going on? It turned out that the experience of owning a new Porsche EV was a nightmare for many people. All the hyped up new technologies came with a host of bugs. Customers worldwide began reporting a range of problems. Many reported that the smart door handles designed to automatically open were malfunctioning. Sometimes they recognized the owner instantly, sometimes they required a touch, and sometimes they didn't work at all, forcing the owner to use the physical key. The car's alarm would suddenly go off whenever the owner tried to lock it. The plug-and-charge feature at public charging stations stopped working for no reason. One customer reported that during a 2-hour journey, the air conditioning suddenly shut off halfway through only to automatically turn back on the way back. The center console screen kept turning on and off. The Apple CarPlay system suddenly lost connection and emitted extremely annoying static noises. Maps wouldn't load and the rear view camera was terrible. But those minor glitches, however annoying, weren't the worst of it. Car enthusiasts might overlook a few software issues, but they couldn't accept what happened next. A small damage to the battery casing could cost an owner $5,500 just for an inspection. If the entire battery had to be replaced, that could reach $50,000. Even worse, customers had to leave their cars in the repair shop for months. One angry owner shared his story. "My 2020 Porsche Taycan is a real nightmare. It's been in the shop for 3 months this summer. Just days after I got it back, the air conditioning stopped working, and now it's in the shop indefinitely. I'm paying nearly $2,000 a month in installments for a car I can't even drive." Then came the mass recalls. Over 27,000 Taycans were recalled due to the risk of battery short circuits, and owners were advised to only charge to 80% capacity. The situation worsened when an internal Porsche whistleblower revealed that up to 60% of all vehicles delivered had battery problems, posing a risk of replacement, damage, and even fire. While the faults were widespread, replacements and support were scarce. Local mechanics were also helpless. The Taycans were too complex with advanced battery technology for which they were not trained to service. They were stuck, waiting for step-by-step instructions and for parts to be shipped from Germany. Because of these incidents, interest in the Taycan has plummeted. The consequence is a devastating depreciation. A $200,000 Turbo S can be worth only $70,000 in just a few years. These cars are unsaleable, as they are also irreparable. Adding fuel to the fire, in 2024, Porsche increased the Taycan's price by approximately $9,000. While improvements have been made, this action only further frustrates customers. Porsche has been so preoccupied with trends and technology that they've forgotten one fundamental thing. They've completely misunderstood their customers. Porsche has spent billions of dollars trying to convince sports car enthusiasts that electric cars are better. They built charging networks, they optimized battery technology, they created the most advanced electric sports car ever produced. but they never stop to ask themselves, is this what our core customers really want? Just because Tesla has all sorts of tech gimmicks doesn't mean Porsche needs them too. This is the fatal blind spot. Tesla and Porsche serve two completely different customer groups. Tesla never tried to replace the inherent thrill of the internal combustion engine. They created something entirely new: silent acceleration. They appeal to customers who want technology and quiet, not engine noise. Porsche does the opposite. They're trying to replace their own legacy. They're so committed to the electrified future that they ignore what their loyal buyers are saying, and as a result, these customers have stopped buying Porsche electric cars. But, and this is the crucial detail, they still line up to buy internal combustion engine cars like the 911. It seems Porsche has forgotten its own heart. A true sports car isn't just about specifications on paper. It's about emotion, feeling, nostalgia, sound, and the excitement of owning a Porsche. The Taycan has the Porsche logo, but for many, it lacks the heart of a Porsche. This costly lesson came too late. In July 2025, the bomb they themselves planted finally exploded. At the end of July 2025, CEO Oliver Blume was forced to admit failure in an internal memo. Our business model, which has served us well for decades now, is no longer working. He acknowledged that all of this was hitting them hard, much harder than many other automakers. The financial figures were an undeniable disaster. Sales plummeted and Porsche's profits completely collapsed. From $8.2 billion in 2023, revenue plummeted to just $3.6 billion. Profit margins. Porsche's pride and joy shrank rapidly. Research and development costs and the production cost of electric vehicles were far more expensive than anticipated. Even the ever-increasing sales of the legendary 911 struggled to offset the enormous costs incurred by the Taycan. The stock price, once the pride of the European stock market, hit an all-time low, down more than 60% since its IPO. Then Porsche, or rather Blume, quietly changed its target. He stated that the transition to electric vehicles would take longer than assumed 5 years ago. The product strategy was adjusted so that the company could offer more than 80% purely electric vehicles by 2030, depending on customer demand. The phrase, depending on customer demand, is key. It was a belated admission that they were wrong. The company was forced to take drastic action to save itself, meaning incredibly painful decisions. Porsche announced a restructuring plan. They will cut 3,900 jobs. The focus of management has shifted back to the real money-making machine. In an official statement, Porsche said that to increase profits in the short and medium term, the company is considering expanding its product portfolio, including internal combustion engine or plug-in hybrid models. Investors who have lost more than 60% of their value are demanding Blume's resignation. He is now focusing on his role at Volkswagen, and Porsche is looking for a new CEO to steer the ship through the storm. Porsche hasn't completely abandoned electric vehicles, but the focus is clearly shifting back to internal combustion engines and hybrids. They have learned a bitter lesson about chasing trends while neglecting their loyal customers. The road to recovery ahead is still long and arduous. The biggest question still hangs over the legacy of a legend. Can Porsche succeed in the electric vehicle age while still maintaining its identity? Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, please leave a comment and check out other videos on the channel to support the team. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.